Welcome back to the Knowledge Center stage here at Itron Utility Week. My name's Adam Malik. I'm joined now by Joel Fish, who's an account executive at Microsoft. Joel, thanks very much for taking the time to be here. And one of the things that we want to talk about very, very quickly, but to give it some context, 2 years ago when I was reporting at Itron Utility Week, Itron announced a partnership with Microsoft, particularly around Azure. Can you give us a little bit of an update on the sort of concrete use cases that you guys are collaborating on and working on at the moment?
Well, we've had, there's 6 that are available in Azure today. So like the forecasting, grid analytics, solar sensing. So we've been working through some of the capabilities in Azure to bring those applications to Azure as born in the cloud applications. We've also been working quite a bit with their DevOps team on additional applications that will be coming. So it's a pretty big development effort to bring a lot of the software solutions that Itron brings to their customers and make those available as cloud options for their customers.
And let's dive into one in particular, which is the grid analytics piece for the short time that we have here. But can you tell us a little bit about what is the DNA that the cloud brings to that, to have a different type of grid analytics? I mean, you were talking a little bit about colliding different data sets and everything, but let me not answer the question for you. It'd be good to have your view on it.
Well, when we talk about the cloud with our customers, we talk about the transformational pillars. And one of those transformational pillars is optimizing operations. And when I think about the grid analytics application, that's exactly what it's doing. So you have the transformers and the meters and all of the infrastructure that the utilities have to run their business, and they want to make sure that they're getting the most out of those assets and not overloading those assets so that they're getting the full lifespan out of those. So looking at the operational life cycle of those assets. And when you are hosting that data in the cloud, you can triangulate that data with a lot of other data, and then that's where you can run through the algorithms, the machine learning, and apply some of the data scientists can get involved and make sure that the forecasting or whatever you're predicting for the life of those assets, or however you're measuring how those assets are being leveraged in the field is right-sized for that, to get the longest life that you can out of that asset. And then I think another aspect to that is that the more use cases you have, the more customers you have, the more data that you have, the more the machine learning kicks in, and those algorithms get smarter and smarter.
So this is the aggregation and having everything in one place, and it starts learning. And it is one of the other things that you are bringing to bear, though, isn't it? It's like going, which is you're able to do in the cloud and not necessarily in a physical data center environment, is to be able to spin up high-performance compute to do those analytics in real time as well. Is that something that's being leveraged here as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's one of the things we talk about as well. So designing the applications so that you can do that, so you can take advantage of that. And that's what we call the platform as a service, where you can just dial it up to the capacity that you need, and then just pay for when you're using it, and then dial it back down. So when we start talking about the analytics and machine learning and the predictive models, that's exactly the use case for that, to bring that high-performance computing to bear.
And just as we finish off, one of the other things you were telling me about is how you can make forecasting a little bit different, right? So could you just tell us a little bit more about the sort of data sets and everything that you're playing with on that side?
Yeah, one of the other advantages of having the data in the cloud, of course, is that you can marry that data with other data sets. And so the forecasting one is a prime example of that, where you've got the load generation information coming in. Itron can take that information, marry that information with weather data in that geography, and do the predictive analysis around that to determine the 1-day, 5-day, 10-day forecast that utility is going to need based on the weather and the forecasting analytics that Itron can apply to it.
And you were also saying that a whole lot of other data sets are being pulled into that as well, and that's something quite unique.
Well, yeah, potentially. So you've got, there's all kinds of data sets that are available in the cloud that our customers can get to relatively inexpensively. Weather data being one, demographic data. There's a lot of even relatively free data sets from the government that you can have access to. And we provide all of those connectors and enable all of that pretty easily for our customers.
And that's when the data scientists can play out and do something.
Run all their modeling.
Absolutely.
Go crazy.
Yeah. Joel, on that note, I will leave it. Thank you for giving us that insight about how Microsoft are working with Itron and solving some of these problems. Thank you as well for watching this interview here on the Knowledge Center stage at Itron Utility Week.